I don't fix solar panels anymore. I spent 35 years wiring homes and hauling failed equipment out of attics and garages. And here's what nobody at the solar company will tell you while they're writing up your quote. The panel almost never fails first. The company behind it does. Right now, in 2026, a homeowner putting an 8-kilowatt system on their roof is looking at close to $30,000 before any incentive. And the brand on that panel is supposed to back a 25-year promise, sometimes 40. So, how did some of the most trusted names in solar end up unable to keep that promise? If you got quoted a brand you'd never heard of, or you paid extra for a name you thought was bulletproof and it turned out not to be, that's not on you. Every homeowner I've talked to has been sold the same story, that a fancy sticker on the panel means it's the best one on the market. It doesn't. It usually just means someone in finance approved it for a bank loan. I've had homeowners call me practically in tears because a panel brand they paid a premium for stopped picking up the phone, and every time, the panel itself was fine. It was still sitting on the roof making power. Nobody was there to answer for the warranty anymore. So let's fix that right now, before you sign anything. You've probably heard an installer say the words Tier 1 panel like it settles the argument. It doesn't. London. A financial research firm called Bloomberg New Energy Finance, BNEF for short, puts out a quarterly list ranking every solar manufacturer into tiers. Installers love waving that list around because Tier 1 sounds like a quality grade, the way you'd rank a cut of steak at the butcher counter. It isn't. BNEF's own methodology says a manufacturer earns Tier 1 status if its own branded panels were used in at least 6 different solar projects that were financed without recourse by 6 separate commercial banks over the past 2 years. Read that again if you need to. That's a banking checklist. It tells you a bank was willing to lend money against that brand's panels showing up on a spreadsheet. It says absolutely nothing about how well the panel is built, how fast it degrades, or whether the company will still exist when you need a warranty claim honored. Anywhere from 30 to 60 manufacturers hold Tier 1 status at any given time, and the list gets reshuffled every single quarter. If your installer's whole pitch is it's Tier 1, ask them what that actually measures. Watch them stumble. Most of them have never actually read the methodology. They've just repeated the phrase because their sales manager told them to. That's not the part that should worry you. This is. Behind that finance checklist sits a graveyard of brand names that used to be the safe, obvious choice. And every one of them left homeowners holding a warranty with nobody standing behind it. And every single one of the 4 I'm about to walk you through was, at some point, sold to somebody as the premium, can't-go-wrong pick. Start with LG. For a while, LG's numbers actually looked like the safest bet in the entire industry. That didn't last. The Neon R panel guaranteed 90.8% output after 25 years, with a degradation rate of just 0.3% a year, figures most competitors still can't touch. LG announced it was walking away from solar panel manufacturing in February of 2022 and stopped production that June. To its credit, LG says it'll still honor those 25-year warranties through repair, replacement, or a prorated refund. But there's nothing left on the shelf to replace them with. Homeowners filing claims today are mostly getting cash settlements instead of new panels because the factory that built them doesn't exist anymore. If an installer tries to sell you a new LG system in 2026, that's not a deal. That's a company selling off old warehouse inventory from a brand that already quit the business. People thought they had the full picture after LG. They were wrong. Panasonic pulled out of residential solar and battery storage entirely on April 28th of 2025. Here's the detail that everyone missed at the time. Panasonic's EverVolt panels, the ones marketed as Panasonic's own technology, were actually manufactured by a different company called REC under contract. Panasonic's real share of the American solar market had already fallen from 35% in 2020 down to 6% by 2024, and by the time they pulled the plug, most homeowners hadn't even noticed the slide. Panasonic is a $60 billion corporation, so they say they'll honor the 25-year all-guard and triple-guard warranties. But support on a discontinued product line from a company that has clearly moved on tends to thin out fast, and there's nobody left in the building who cares whether your claim gets processed quickly. If you already own EverVolt panels, REC is your direct technological successor, same cell technology, same original factory floor. Up to this point, SunPower had spent 2 decades as the undisputed premium name in American solar. That was about to flip. SunPower Corporation filed for Chapter 11, bankruptcy, on August 5, 2024, and was delisted from the NASDAQ 11 days later. A company called Complete Solaria bought the SunPower brand and trademarks out of bankruptcy for $45 million, and by April of 2025, it had renamed itself SunPower and reclaimed the old stock ticker. Sounds like a comeback story. Complete Solaria celebrated getting a legendary name for pennies on the dollar. Existing customers shouldn't have celebrated with them. The new SunPower did not take responsibility for any system installed on or before September 30th, 2024. Those homeowners became what installers privately call orphans, and CBS News reported thousands of them struggling to get anyone to even answer the phone about a warranty claim. Just when Complete Solaria thought a rebrand had contained the damage, the company that actually built those panels ran into its own trouble. SunPower's real panels were made by a spin-off company called Maxeon, spun off back in 2020. In 2026, homeowners would finally understand exactly what that spin-off meant. Maxeon filed for judicial management in Singapore on April 1st and was placed under interim judicial management just 8 days later. NASDAQ issued a delisting warning on April 24th. Shares that were worth around $16 a year earlier had collapsed to about 16 cents. Not great. Maxeon says it'll still honor panel-only warranties for older SunPower systems that were registered by the end of 2024. But that leaves out anyone who wasn't registered in time, and it doesn't cover the inverter, the racking, or a battery, only the panel itself. 4 major manufacturer names. Every one of them left a warranty sitting on shaky ground or no ground at all. I mean, think about that for a second. These were the brands installers pointed to as the responsible choice. That's the actual risk profile of residential solar in 2026, and it's exactly why Tier 1 was never the question you should have been asking. The real question is a lot simpler than a finance spreadsheet. Will this company still be answering the phone in 20 years? So here are the 5 panels I'd actually put on my own roof, and then the one with the best spec sheet in the business that I still won't touch right now. Number 1, Canadian Solar. This is the panel I'd call the dependable workhorse. And I mean that as a genuine compliment, not a knock. Canadian Solar has been a top 5 global manufacturer for over a decade, which in this industry is closer to a century. Their newer N-type modules, built with TOPCon cell technology, run around 22.1% efficiency and come with a 25-year product warranty, plus a 25-year performance warranty guaranteeing about 87.4% output at year 25. Installed pricing generally runs around $2.10 to $2.40 per watt, on the lower end of what you'll pay for a recognizable name brand panel. Canadian Solar has a massive global service network behind it, and that matters a lot more than a flashy spec sheet on the day you actually need a warranty claim processed by a real human being. It's not the most efficient panel on this list. It's the one built by a company with the scale and the staying power to still be standing when you need them 15 years from now. On a typical 25-panel residential array, that price gap versus a premium name brand can run you a couple $1,000s, and you're not sacrificing much to get there. But scale isn't the only way to buy peace of mind. Sometimes it's about who's actually manufacturing the thing right here at home, close enough that you could drive to the factory if you had to. Number 2, Mission Solar. If you want an American-made panel without paying the premium that usually comes attached to that label, this is it. Mission Solar has been manufacturing panels in San Antonio, Texas since 2014. Skip their older PERC line, which tops out under 20% efficiency, and ask specifically for their newer N-type TOPCon panels, which push efficiency up to 22.3% and carry a 30-year performance warranty instead of the industry standard 25. Historically, these have installed for around $2.45 a watt. Because they're built entirely on American soil, Mission Solar dodges the Section 201 tariffs and qualifies for domestic content incentives that imported panels simply can't touch. There's a reason this brand is still talked about in installer circles, even though it's a fraction of the size of the big names. It's the budget pick that doesn't feel like a compromise, as long as you insist on the newer line in writing and not the leftover inventory from the old one that some installers are still trying to move. And because they're made about a day's drive from a huge chunk of the country, shipping delays and import headaches just aren't part of the conversation. Number 3. Q cells, called Q.Tron in their current product line. This is my pick for best all-around value in 2026, and it earns that spot on more than just efficiency. The Q.Tron panels use N-type TOPCon cell technology, reaching up to 22.5% efficiency in the higher wattage variants, with a 25-year product warranty and a 25-year performance warranty guaranteeing 90.58% output at year 25, degrading at a warranted maximum of 0.33% a year. Q-Cells assembles these panels domestically in Georgia, which means domestic content bonus eligibility on top of dodging import tariffs entirely. And here's the part that actually matters more than any number on that spec sheet. Q-Cells is backed by Hanwha, a massive South Korean industrial conglomerate with the balance sheet to weather a rough few years in the solar market, unlike 3 of the 4 companies I just walked you through. This is the panel where the numbers are genuinely excellent, and the company behind those numbers isn't showing a single warning sign right now. That combination is rarer than it should be in this industry, and it's exactly why it's my middle pick, and honestly, the one I'd tell a friend to just go install without overthinking any of this further. If somebody in my own family asked me tomorrow what to put on their roof, this is the panel I'd say without hesitating. Number 4. REC's Alpha Pure R and Pure RX series. If Q Cells is the panel, I'd tell a friend to stop overthinking. REC is the one for the friend who wants the absolute best numbers on paper and is willing to pay a little more for them. These panels use heterojunction cell technology, a more advanced and more temperature-stable design than standard TOPCon, and they're lead-free, meeting the strictest environmental compliance standards in the industry. The Pure RX variant reaches up to 470 watts and 22.6% efficiency, with the best temperature coefficient on this entire list, meaning it loses less output than anything else here on a hot roof in the middle of July. REC warrants a degradation rate of just 0.25% a year, guaranteeing at least 92% output at year 25, the lowest degradation number on this entire list. Here's the detail most homeowners never hear about until it's too late. REC's ProTrust warranty program can extend coverage up to 25 years and, critically, includes up to 25 years of labor. Most manufacturer warranties will ship you a replacement panel and then hand you a bill for $2,000 to $5,000 in labor to actually get it back up on the roof. REC's is one of the only warranties on the market that doesn't do that to you. REC is owned by Reliance Industries, one of the largest conglomerates in the world. So the financial backing question here basically answers itself. You'll pay more upfront for this one, but if you're the type of homeowner who wants to never think about your roof again once it's installed, that labor coverage alone is worth the premium. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I break down which home energy equipment is actually built to last every week. No affiliate links, no brand cheerleading, just the honest numbers. All right, so here's where things get interesting, because this last pick is a genuine coin flip with the one I just gave you. Number 5, Silfab's Prime and Elite lines. If you want a panel made entirely on American soil, with none of the geopolitical baggage that comes with Chinese-made cells and wafers, this is the one. Silfab manufactures in Bellingham, Washington, and Burlington, Ontario, and its higher-end Elite panels use heterojunction technology, reaching around 22.6% efficiency, with a best-in-class temperature coefficient of their own. Here's the number that separates Silfab from almost everyone else on this list. Their standard warranty runs a 25-year product guarantee alongside a 30-year performance warranty, guaranteeing around 90.8% output after 3 full decades, 5 years longer than the industry standard performance warranty most brands offer. Because Silfab's supply chain avoids Chinese cells, wafers, and polysilicon entirely, it sidesteps the Section 301 tariffs that add extra cost to imported panels, and it qualifies for the strongest domestic content financing incentives currently available. If longevity on paper and a genuinely American factory floor matter more to you than shaving a few dollars off the install, Silfab is the closer on this list for a reason. It's also become the go-to recommendation from installers who specifically bid domestic content jobs because it clears the bar without any asterisks. Those are my 5. Canadian Solar for scale and reliability. Mission Solar for an honest budget pick. Q Cells in the middle as the best all-around value. REC for the lowest degradation and a labor-included warranty, and Silfab for the longest performance warranty on American-made panels. But I promised you the panel with the best spec sheet in the entire industry, And I'm about to tell you exactly why I still wouldn't let it near my own roof right now. Maxeon and the sun power panels built on Maxeon's technology genuinely have the best numbers in residential solar today. Their newest panel, the Maxeon 7, uses interdigitated back contact cell technology, meaning there are no visible grid lines on the front of the panel at all, and it reaches up to 24.1% efficiency, the highest of any panel on this entire list by a wide margin. It carries a 40-year product and performance warranty, the longest in the industry by a full decade, with a warranted degradation rate of just 0.25% a year and a guarantee of 88% output all the way out at year 40. On a spec sheet alone, nothing here even competes with it. 40 years. And no, I'm not making that up. That's exactly the problem. I already walked you through what happened to Maxeon and SunPower a few minutes ago, the Chapter 11 filing, the judicial management proceedings in Singapore, the NASDAQ delisting notice, shares that fell from around $16 to 16 cents in a single year. A 40-year warranty from a company that might not survive the next 4 is a piece of paper, not a promise. I'm not telling you Maxeon panels are badly built. They might genuinely be the best built panels on this entire list. I'm telling you the company standing behind that paper is in real financial distress right now, in 2026, and until that gets resolved one way or another, I can't in good conscience put that panel on somebody's roof and tell them their grandkids will still be able to file a claim on it in the year 2066. Now let's talk about where the real money actually disappears on a solar quote, because it's rarely the panel brand at all. The panel itself typically makes up only about 12 to 13% of your total project cost. Equipment overall, panels, inverter, racking, only accounts for roughly a third of what you're paying. The rest is labor, permitting, overhead, and sales margin. And that last category, sales margin, is where quotes swing wildly from one installer to the next for the exact same equipment sitting on the exact same roof. On Energy Sage's competitively bid marketplace, the median installed price nationally runs around $2.58 a watt, putting a typical 12 kilowatt system around $31,000 before any incentive. Broader industry data from Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, which captures a wider, less competitive sample of quotes, puts the median closer to $3.50 a watt for that same size system. That roughly $1 per watt gap on a 10 kilowatt system that works out to about $10,000 is mostly the difference between a homeowner who got 3 competing bids and a homeowner who signed with the first salesman who knocked on their door. That's the kind of number that makes accountants cry. And that wasn't even the part that got homeowners angriest. Here's how installers hide it. They'll quote you a name brand panel, then quietly swap it for a cheaper Tier 2 or Tier 3 import if you don't ask for the exact model number in writing. They'll undersize the system so the sticker price looks small, then upsell you into a bigger array once you're already emotionally committed to the deal. And a lot of them will simply refuse to break the quote down into panel cost, inverter cost, labor, and margin, because the moment you can see those numbers sitting side by side, you can see exactly how much you're paying for the sales pitch itself. Ask for that breakdown before you sign anything. Every single time, a legitimate installer will hand it over without flinching. I've seen this play out with 2 homeowners on the same street, same size roof, same 44 panel layout. One got quoted around $2.95 a watt on a mainstream Chinese-made brand. The other got quoted north of $4 a watt for a legacy premium brand using the exact same inverter and racking underneath it. The panel itself only accounted for a fraction of that gap. The rest was pure sales markup, dressed up as a premium product. That's not a rare story. That's Tuesday. One more thing you need going into any quote in 2026. The federal 30% tax credit for homeowner-owned solar, known as Section 25D, expired on December 31st, 2025. And there's no partial version left this year. On a $30,000 system, that credit used to be worth about $9,000 off your tax bill. It's gone now unless Congress brings it back. If an installer tells you the credit is about to disappear, so you'd better sign today. In 2026, that's not urgency, that's a pressure tactic. Because for an owned system, it already disappeared last year. On the tariff side, the older Section 201 safeguard tariff expired in February of 2026. But tariffs on Chinese-made solar cells remain firmly in place and have actually climbed to 50%. Along with separate duties on cells coming out of several Southeast Asian countries. That's exactly why 3 of my 5 picks, Mission Solar, Q-Cells Domestic Assembly, and Silfab, either dodge those tariffs entirely or minimize their exposure to them. Before I give you the final verdict, one safety note, because this is the part where a bad decision costs more than money. Any hardwired connection between your solar array and your home's electrical panel needs to be done by a licensed electrician, full stop, with a permit pulled and the work inspected by your local code authority. Modern residential arrays are also required to carry rapid shutdown capability, meaning a firefighter or a lineman can de-energize the panels right at the roof level in an emergency. Without that safety feature, you're creating a genuine hazard for anyone who has to work near your house during a fire or a storm. I'm not going to walk you through wiring and interconnection yourself in this video, and if anyone online ever offers to, that's not a shortcut. That's a liability sitting on your roof. Follow your local code, use a licensed installer, and treat the permit and inspection step as part of the product you're buying, not paperwork you skip to save a few $100s. A cheap install with no permit doesn't just void your warranty, it can void your homeowner's insurance the day something actually goes wrong. And that's a much more expensive lesson than the one I'm giving you for free right now. So here's where I land. If you want the safest bet with the most scale behind it, Canadian Solar. If you want an honest American-made budget pick, Mission Solar's newer N-type line. If you want the best combination of performance and a financially solid company behind it, and honestly, the one I'd tell you to just go install, Q-Cells Q.Tron. If you want the lowest degradation rate and a warranty that actually covers labor instead of leaving you with a bill, REC's Alpha Pure RX. And if a 30-year performance warranty on American soil matters most to you, Silfab. What none of those 5 have in common with Maxeon and SunPower is simple. Every one of them is backed by a company I'm confident will still be picking up the phone in 25 years. These 5 panels will still be quietly making power on rooftops long after this particular warranty scandal is old news. And that's the legacy that actually matters here, not the marketing copy on a brochure. It was never really about who has the prettiest spec sheet. It's about who's still standing when you actually need them. If Maxeon comes out of judicial management with a real backer behind it, I'll come back and update this list, because the technology genuinely earns a spot. Until then, get your quote in writing. Get the exact model number on that paper. Ask who's still standing behind it in 20 years, and don't let anybody rush you with a tax credit deadline that already passed months ago. That's the whole job. Now go get a real quote